When I finished high school, I remember Mum sitting down with me and we were going through, what university course was I interested in, and she found a subject at Monash University called anthropology, which is the study of human culture. And I went, humans are weird. That sounds like a great subject to study. Then when I came to the open day, a few people from a subject called behavioural studies approached me and they said, would you like to know about people and behaviour that's a bit like psychology but without boring statistics, and you can really figure out why people do what they do? And I went, oh, that's the subject for me. I went and applied, got into a Bachelor of Arts, majored in behavioural studies, and I got into my final year before I did a subject called research methods. And I went, oh my gosh, you can actually study the behaviour and learn more about it and then apply it to other spaces. And unfortunately, I realised I had to learn stupid statistics in order for that to be really effective. But it worked. So I ended up doing an honours in behavioural studies. Initially, I was looking at driver behaviour, and I decided to go out and do a PhD in driver behaviour and went, I don't actually know what I want to be when I grow up. So I discontinued. I went out into the real world and started my career as a social researcher more generally. I did that for about 6 years before I realised that I had some pretty good research skills under my belt, but the things that I was really interested in and passionate about was still the behaviour side of things. So not just people's attitudes and, campaign recall or whatever it might be, and environmental impacts. So the behaviours that people do that can impact the environment. And when I started Googling behaviour, environment, social research, social science, BehaviourWorks Australia kept popping up in my Google inbox. So I literally just emailed BehaviourWorks out of nowhere and said, I don't have a PhD yet, but I would like to do one at some point. In the meantime, I'm an amazing researcher from the real world. Would you like to give me a job? And they said yes. I love books and literature and storytelling, and I'm a bit of a creative type. And so I didn't think that numbers and maths were really my bag until I started working with survey data. And I went, oh, this is really structured and logical, and you can run an analysis and it gives you concrete outputs that you don't have to interpret and fluff about with. And I got really excited at the organised nature of data. Speaks very well to my type A personality. And I suddenly discovered that I did like data. The one that comes to mind the most, I think a lot of colleagues can resonate with, and that's really figuring out the role of behavioural science when it comes to wicked problems. And in the spaces that I'm most interested in, so consumption and waste generation and biodiversity conservation, there is a big disconnect between the behaviour of an individual at an individual level and then the different levels of the system all the way up into policy and government and who's in control, and really how those things mesh together. So I know a lot of our colleagues at BehaviourWorks have done wonderful work in trying to bridge this divide between behaviour and behavioural thinking and systems thinking. It is something that I struggle with a little bit. We need to have multiple levers, we need to have multiple parts of the system all working together. And in fact, I remember coming to a realisation recently that the most impactful thing that an individual can actually do when it comes to biodiversity loss is vote for a particular political party. I think that's where I personally gravitate towards consumer behaviour, because it is one of the most tangible things that individuals at a collective level can change the other levels. Every time we buy something, we are voting. Yeah, we need behavioural science in order to address these wicked problems, but we can't do it alone. And that's why interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research is so important, to partner with behavioural science.